I think as coaches, first of all, I think we, especially the longer we do it, we start getting locked into certain ways and certain things, and certain techniques, or certain venues, or what we think is working, or what we're used to, or whatever it is. And I think the key, if you want to be successful in anything, whether it's coaching, business, is to be able to adapt and to be able to experiment with different things and try to, you know, there's a lot of ways to get from point A to point B, and to find things that are valuable to your audience, which are your kids, if you're a coach, which are your players. And you know, we're trying to get to when you're trying to get to the promised land in college baseball, it's Omaha. So, you know, that's what we're trying to do. So I was completely ready to experiment with something I thought had a chance, not knowing much about it, had a chance to help all or certain of our guys realize their full potential. Comments as far as using it, you know, at the time I didn't make it mandatory for everybody. It was the first one was mandatory. Listen and see if it's something, there's something in there for you, or something you're willing to try. And I know the guys that year that were really using it religiously were Kevin Gunderson, Eddie Coons. We had him in the mix. Patterson may have been there that first year, 2006. Mitch Canham was a big part of that, and John Kohler was involved in that to some extent. I'm trying to think, that's a long time ago now. But those are the guys that I know were using it, because they were using it, you know, in the dugout, between innings, before practices, as they stretched, as they got ready. I think it's a very valuable tool. I think I found in the 2 years we've been using it, it's extremely valuable for our the bullpen guys, because they have to get loose and get quick and get in right now. And not that it's not effective for a starting pitcher or a catcher, but it's been extremely valuable for our bullpen guys. Good. And if they, I believe that it works. I believe there's that it's working. But if a kid thinks it's working, well, wow, now you got the thing, now you got it licked, because now he's a believer. And and once you convince him that this is an opportunity to raise your ceiling, or to get to your ceiling, or another technique, just another piece of the puzzle with the weight room, with the conditioning, with your skill work, then you can. It's been a great tool for us. You know, when you start talking about that, you're talking about a 10-man pitching staff at the end of the year, and you got 6 or 7 of your guys are using it. Well, I think the freedom, the freedom that, as I've done it, when I've done it in your practice settings, the freedom, the energy flow, the freedom, I think it's given our guys, the guys that have used it religiously, a heightened ability to concentrate at the task at hand, and to, which is what you're trying to get them to do. I mean, when there's, especially late in the year when you're playing in Omaha and there's 25, 30,000 people, and there's obviously some built-in distractions.
Right.
To get locked in right away, and to be good right away, to be effective, to pitch at their, you know, capabilities, you know, throw the ball where they want it, stay in the flow of the game. I mean, those things in the sport of baseball, at least, which is what I'm familiar with, obviously, they've been invaluable. And I think that if it was introduced to position players as hitters, you'd really see, I think it would be very effective in a setting to separate at bats and get locked into the moment there. Jorge's performance, you know, his progression, I think, was greatly impacted and greatly sped up through the EFT, no doubt about it. And just being able to do what he did. Physically, you have to have a certain amount of physical talent, or you don't come to Oregon State and pitch, or you don't come to Texas Tech and pitch.
Yes.
And you have a certain amount baseline talent. Georgie took it another step with his preparation and the things he did, and this was part of his preparation and part of his rituals, and it allowed him to go from being a high school guy at a school with 300 people to the MVP of the College World Series. So I'm proud of him for having the courage to do it, because like he said, you know, we were breaking some boundaries, so.